Hi, welcome everybody. So glad you've tuned in for some Create with Kelley tonight. I would love for you to be part of my Create with Kelley crew. And all that takes is for you to subscribe to my blog or tune in to my Facebook Lives on Wednesday nights at 7:15 or come to a class, anything you'd like to do. My name is Kelley Pitts and I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator since 2005. And I live in Lubbock, Texas, and I'm proud to be a Lubbockite. Glad you're tuning in. Hello, Sherry Hernandez. Glad you're tuned in. We are kind of letting everybody tune in for a sec here, and I'll get the camera situated and chit-chat a little bit about the cards that we're going to make tonight. We may make one. I'm just going to show you kind of a technique that expands the use of your embossing folders by adding some ink to the actual folder. So we'll wait and see if a couple of other folks tune in, and I'm going to look away for a sec and get set up so I can find the comments on my iPad and computer. Sure makes it a lot easier when I can see what y'all are saying. Thanks for tuning in. Just be patient for a moment and let me get this going. All right. I see it on the computer. I don't see comments yet. Let's see. I don't need that. Let's see. Maybe we'll have comments now. Yeah, I think I can see comments there. Let's see if I can get it going on the iPad too, and we'll be in business. I like to have plenty of room to double check if y'all are sending me a comment. Hopefully I'll be able to watch the comments and keep up while I'm doing the cards. Sometimes it's a little bit of a challenge, but at least I had the button tonight to go live in the correct orientation and all that. Sometimes Facebook just changes things at the last minute. So I'm glad you're here. And again, I'm Kelley Pitts, independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Lubbock, Texas, but I can have customers all over the US. So that's an awesome thing I'm excited about. And tonight I want to share with you a technique that we tried at my techniques class recently on Sunday, and it was very popular. The ladies who came really enjoyed it, and I've got kind of a part 2 of that, or a repeat of it, coming up next Wednesday. I've got several people coming for it, but hopefully nobody that's coming on Wednesday will be watching tonight, and I don't want to give away the surprise. And let's see, it looks like somebody else tuned in, but please let me know where you're from, and when you tune in, make a comment. Would love to put you in a drawing to win one of the cards that we make tonight. And we may just make one. We'll see how it goes. But let's see, let me show you. Hang on, I'll grab a card so I can kind of show you what we're going to do. Okay, we are going to make, oops, backwards here. Here we go. If y'all can see this, this is using the Wintry 3D Stampin' Up folder that comes in a pair. It's one of the smaller, the mini folders. Hello, Sherry from Florence, Oregon. I'm so glad you've tuned in. I'd love to know how you found me. Okay, this is done with Misty Moonlight. Inside, we're going to ink up the embossing folder, the actual folder itself, put ink on one side of it, and then run this through the embossing machine, run the page through there, the cardstock, and then it makes all the embossing and the detail that you can see here. Isn't that gorgeous? Pretty, pretty, pretty. And of course you can use any ink color. I was just trying to kind of make it look like a blizzard. I don't know that you can see all the detail, but I'll show you in a little more detail as we go through making one of these cards. All right, here's another one that was done with the same technique that has the embossing folder that's the other one in the Wintry set. This is the one with the pine boughs. And here's the inside of the card. Oh, Sherry, your sister lives in Lubbock. Awesome. Maybe I know her. Is that Jennifer? I bet it is. That's great. I love Jennifer. She's one of my wonderful team members. Okay, here is the inside of the embossing folder. See, you can see the difference in the texture there. And that is just shaded spruce paper. And we've used the Memento black ink in the folder, in the embossing folder on both sides of the folder, so that we have both sides of the shaded spruce with a different look there. Isn't that fun? Jennifer was one of the ones who came to my class on Sunday, so hopefully she's had you tune in, Sherry. That's great. Okay, we also are going to do, or I'm going to show you a little bit more. Hi, Marge Wilcox. Glad you've tuned in. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, here we go. This one is made with the, oh, Cindy Pilhorn. Oh, okay, awesome. Well, isn't that funny that I have a Jennifer Hernandez here? And I was just assuming that was a sister, but that would be sister-in-law, evidently. Didn't think of that. Yes, okay, that's great. Thanks, Cindy, for referring Sherry. Okay, this is one from the Gingerbread and Peppermint Suite. And we use the technique that I've discussed here on all this. I'm going to see if I can get that close enough. Can you see that? It almost looks like a nice gingerbread cookie. And we did that by putting Versamark inside the texture folder, the Tasteful Textiles folder, and then embossing it with white embossing powder. Isn't that fun? It was a lot of fun to make. And then it's just a Z-fold card, just turned sideways. I did two different ones. I did one with the this little piece of paper is white and it's kind of askew behind the little gingerbread colored paper that's cinnamon cider. And then I've flipped this piece of paper over, whoops, this one in the other card. So I'm glad you like the cards and you'll get to learn a technique tonight. So thanks for tuning in. I will turn the camera around again. And just in case somebody new has tuned in, I'm going to introduce myself one more time for a quick video, and then I'll turn the camera down. Sherry, thanks for sticking with me. My name is Kelley Pitts, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Lubbock, Texas, and I'm so glad you've tuned in to learn a little bit more about stretching your embossing folders and the use of those by adding ink on the inside of the embossing folder. So that's what we're going to learn tonight. Thanks for being patient with me, and I will turn the camera down so you can watch what I'm doing. Here we go. Let's see where we are. It takes just a minute to get everything situated because there's a lag time. Whoops, I forgot to switch my camera. Sorry, folks. Now we've got it right. And a good, I think that's pretty good lighting. I might need one more light. I'm going to flip one more light on real quickly. Okay. We will start with showing you this technique with the Misty Moonlight. And I'm going to get some scratch paper here. So we won't make a huge mess. And I also did a little bit something different on the inside. This one I used the sponge dauber with the Misty Moonlight after I used the embossing folder on the card. So one is debossed. This one is, most of the snowflakes are going in. And then this side, these are outies and these are innies, in other words, innies and outies. But I just went with the sponge dauber, and you can see the texture of the dauber, how that's a lot rougher than using the blending brushes like I used on the front. But just to kind of show you a couple of different ways you can use your embossing folder. Alrighty then, we will pull out one of these little card kits. And I miss Cindy. Sherry, I miss having Cindy here. I hope she is enjoying her new place, new city. Let's see if I can grab my bone folder here real quickly and get that crease burnished or score burnished. We'll put this up here so you can see that a little bit better. Move that over. There we go. Okay. Now, this is the small one that we will run through the embossing folder after we ink it up. And we've got our Misty Moonlight ink here. And as I said, this is the Wintry 3D embossing folder. And there are two of them in a set. The one with the pine boughs and this one. And this is from the annual catalog. If you need any products that we're using in tonight's card, if y'all would like to make some of these for your Christmas cards, I'll be glad to help you with your order or help you determine what you need, anything like that. I'm happy to help. Okay, we're going to use our Misty Moonlight inside the folder. And, oh, I'm going to show you a couple of options too that I played with. This is the same technique, but it is, I inked up the non-logo side. On the embossing folder, there's a Stampin' Up logo on one side, and then not on the other side. Just the writing that says it's made in China. But one will emboss and one will deboss. So the non-logo side is the one I used here. I inked up the non-logo side, and you can see that it actually put the ink inside the debossed area. Let me see if I can make that a little better for you to see. And then I also played with adding some alcohol ink too. But here's another one with the logo side. When I put the ink on the logo side, then you see the raised snowflake is embossed, and then the blue Misty Moonlight is in the background. So that's the two ways those look. Then I also played with it and added a little alcohol ink. This one is actually the 91% alcohol ink, and this one is 70%. Isn't that strange how it came out with all the purples? It really broke down that colors in the Misty Moonlight and made that really interesting, I thought. How it has the purples and blues in there. When I used just water, I just sprayed it with water. It left it blue, but it made little splotchy areas that I thought were kind of pretty. But I decided for this card, I wanted more of the detail of the snowflakes, and that's what we lost when we spritzed it. So I decided to stick with my other plan. So we're going to put this on the non-logo side, because this was, no, that's the non-logo side. We're going to put it on the logo side. Okay, so that's the logo up, and we're actually taking our Misty Moonlight ink and rubbing this pad on here. And that's why I'm wearing a solid black top here. Because this is a bit messy. All I'm doing is coating. Just really getting a lot of ink on the embossing folder. The Wintry embossing folder. And I don't think I had ever tried this. I had seen it done, but I don't think I had ever tried it or really thought about how much that would expand what you can do with your folders. Instead of just, because otherwise if you're going to have white snowflakes and a blue background, you're going to have to try to do something with white craft ink on after you've embossed it. You could do that with a white craft, but it's still gonna smear a bit onto your paper if you do that. All right, so we've got one of our awesome blending brushes. If y'all have not seen these are like makeup brushes. These are fine little bitty bristles here. It's really, really soft. It just makes you want to rub it. But we're going to get this detail. We want to make sure everything's coated really well. All the spaces in between the snowflakes, all the little crevices, everything. And you can make this as dark or light as you want. It's probably going to end up being a little bit lighter than you think it would be. And I'm just using little swirling motions, as I think snowflakes would. From my experience, they kind of swirl around. All right, there we go. Now, hopefully, I brought some wet wipes in here. They're not very close, but I brought some, so that's important. Okay, we'll set that over there. Now we're going to put our little cardstock inside here. Fold this up, move this out of the way so we won't make a doubly big mess. I'll get the embossing machine, Stampin Cut and Emboss machine is what this is. Let me see if I can find what I did with my plates when I brought them in here. I know I have them. Let's see. Oh, I had it covered up with a stamp set. Okay, for the embossing, all we need for texture emboss folders is your plate number 1 and then the 3D embossing folder, and then your plate number 4, which is kind of your top plate that completes your sandwich, like you've got 2 pieces of bread and meat and cheese in there. We're going to run that through. Just one time ought to do it. Take this out. That out of the way. Now I'll show you how magical that is. Isn't that pretty? So you can see the little swirls. It just kind of gives you a beautiful texture to it. Oops, sorry, I was a little off camera there. Hopefully you can tell a little of that detail. So every time you do this, you're going to get a little bit different result. It's going to be a different, little bit lighter, a little bit darker, whatever. And you can use any color you choose. If you want a lighter shade, it's just whatever cardstock. I would just coordinate it with the cardstock itself. See if we can get some of this off of here. And you can just, if you have a sink handy, which I don't at this very moment, but I would just run this through the sink full of water and clean that off. And it will be just hunky-dory. And that is all there is to that, folks, to get such a pretty background. And then all I did, just going to show you the technique, because that needs to set aside and dry just a little bit. And then all I did was I chopped that down a little. It's hard to get it exactly in the folder as you want it. So I just allowed room to chop that down on the trimmer, which I have right over here. A little Stampin' trimmer. Just going to trim off that white edge. A little bit more. There we go. Whoops. And then the other one, you don't have to really trim both edges. You just have to trim one, because we're going to cover it up with this die. And I did make the paper where you can go all the way to the edge, but I think I'm going to cut it a little bit shorter. I'm going to make it, instead of 5.5 inches, I'm going to cut it to 5 1/4, so we have that little bit of border. Okay. And then while we're at it, let's go ahead and cut this piece to 5 1/4. And this is what we're going to do, use our basic borders die on to cut this out and add to that. We'll get our little Stampin' Pierce mat. Hopefully we have one in here. And we'll just glue this. And you can use your liquid glue, you can use your Stampin' Seal, whichever one. I would probably, since it's a texture, I would use the Stampin' Seal Plus or your favorite liquid glue. That would be my guess. Or you could use a glue dot. But I will be right back. I cannot find my Stampin' Pierce mat, and I'm not sure. I guess we'll try it and see how it works. I do have some padding on this table, so it could work as it is. We'll just see. And I don't have the basic board. You know, I think I'm just going to show you the technique. Y'all can figure this out. I can show you more cards if I don't totally finish this card. So I think we'll just stamp. You can do the Merry Christmas from the Heartfelt Wishes stamp set. This is item number 156541. And you just stamp the Merry Christmas, or you could stamp any of the other greetings or sentiments on there. And when it's this large of a stamp, I turn the pad upside down and take the pad to the stamp instead of vice versa. We're going to, we'll just see how it does on this mat. It may not. I really like to have the cushion of that Stampin' Pierce mat, but we'll see how this does. That did okay. All right. So that's all you do there. Stamp that, and then I would just die cut that out and glue that on here. I've got one already die cut for us. And actually, I popped this up. Whoops, I just got blue all over it. Well, alrighty. We'll get another wet wipe. As I said, you want to wear dark clothing when you're doing this, because it is messy. Kind of get it all over everywhere. Okay. Get this cleaned off. Then I'm going to show you on the inside how I did that technique. We'll get this out real quickly one more time. And hopefully this folder is cleaned up enough where it won't make a big mess. We'll try one more time here to get that cleaned out. Does a lot better just running water under it, under the sink. But hopefully this will do for our purposes. All I did was line this folder up with a little bit of the snowflakes showing, and you just have to make sure that it will go through your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. It has to not be too wide. You know, if you make the band too narrow, it won't fit through your machine. See if we can get all the blue off of here. There we go. Okay, good to go. So we're making our little sandwich again. And I'm going to run this through the machine without any color on it. It's just going to be embossed with the snowflake. As you can see here. And now we have the debossed side and the embossed side. And then I'm going to show you how different that looks when you use the sponge dauber on it after you've embossed it. It's just kind of a totally different look. See if I can find my little sponge dauber that was in here moments ago. We will it was in a little bag. Just had it. I may have to use this one, which is a little bit different color blue, but at least you can see the effect. Anyway, let's check one more spot to see how we do this. It is just amazing how things disappear. When you're on camera and trying not to run to a different room. Okay. Where are you hiding? Okay, I don't see it. So we're going to use this. Like I said, it's got a little bit of different blue, and it's an older sponge dauber, so it's kind of wearing out. Kind of getting old and used up there. Whoops, yep, it's just tearing up. We're just going to have to get a new one. Okay, now I found it, of course, in the little bag, like I said. Unbelievable. Had to let that one go all the way to the trash before we found the other one. See if we can have cleanup duty again. Okay, and the little sponge daubers, Stampin' Up sells these in a little pack of 5, I believe, at a time. And those are in the annual catalog also. All right, we're going to get another... We'll go ahead and try this piece of paper. We're just going to dab onto the ink pad itself, and then my recommendation is to start off the paper so you won't get a big blob on your card. Try to move these so you can see what we're doing here. Now, okay, so start off the paper and lightly, like barely holding on to the sponge dauber, start swirling it around. And this is the way it looks on the embossed side, which means your blue, your Misty Moonlight is going to catch, or it's going to absorb the color on the part that's raised or embossed. So it makes your snowflakes look more blue than the background. It just shows you a little bit of light in the background. Okay, so there's that side. Then we will flip it over and see which side you like best. You get to So is Sherry, you're saying strike up a conversation with her. Let's see. Trying to see. Do you mean strike up a conversation with Cindy? I do need to call her and see how everything's going. I've kind of kept up with her a little bit through her Facebook post, but I have not contacted her otherwise. So thanks for the reminder. I'll check in with her. Okay, now we're just going in the same circular kind of motion, because that's what works best with the sponge daubers, and it happens to work best with the little swirls of the snowflakes too. So now I'm on the deboss side, so we're getting more of the background color, and the back side of the snowflakes is white. So that gives you two different uses of your embossing folder besides just leaving it the way it was on the white background. Can you see that? So Sherry, you want to vote for, this is the deboss side, this is the emboss side. Which one do you like the best? I'll give you a sec to figure that out, and we'll go ahead and stamp from our house to yours, I believe, is what I had in that stamp set. Let's just look. To you and yours, from our family to you and yours, is what I did on that first card. And we'll just do that in the Misty Moonlight. Embossed. Hi, Janice. And I still haven't sent your card to you. I've got to go back to the videos and figure out which week that was and which card I'm supposed to send you. So you're still on my list, and I'll still send that out. But I just have to figure out which week. Okay, so we're going to stamp from our family. And on my previous card, I just did that kind of in the top left, from our family. And then we'll take that off. That's what's wonderful. These red rubber stamps are great, as well as the photopolymer. Stampin' Up! Has both kinds. And not of every stamp set. It just depends on the stamp set and how detailed it is and how fine the font is and things like that. I don't know how they determine what's what. From our family to you and yours. And that's not perfect, but you get the idea. Did I do it on the right side? Embossed side. I think I did it on the opposite side of what you said, Janice. I didn't look. Sorry. We could do it again. Already cleaned that one off. All right. Okay. There's that part. And we'll put that back in our stamp set here. The rubber stamps. And this again, Heartfelt Wishes number 156541, if y'all are interested in that one. And we'll go ahead and glue this down. I may have to go get myself a pen. I'm going to have to run and be right back. So y'all talk amongst yourselves. And I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I was looking for the dies and couldn't find them, so we'll figure something else out. Get this going. Get our little silicone mat. Are y'all still with me, I hope? And I just use liquid glue kind of all around the edges on the inside. And we're just going to center that with an even border all the way around. There we go. Looks pretty, doesn't it? Now we'll glue this part. I got glue on that side. I'll never know. Okay, we've got that glued. Now, all this out of the way. So you can see how different those two cards look. With just a little more ink, heavier duty on the Misty Moonlight. I guess I must have re-inked my pad since then. I just don't see those dies. But, oh, okay, got them. This was using the Basic Borders dies. We'll just grab that border onto our little white piece that we had earlier. Get this off of here before I make a bigger mess. Okay, did y'all see the piece of white paper that we had the Merry Christmas stamped on? Here we go. Okay, so we'll just grab our little Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine again, and this time use the different plates. We'll use, oh, and I'm missing one of the plates. Goodness gracious. Well, I think we just won't finish this card tonight because I don't want to leave y'all again if I don't have to. Or we'll just do it like this. We'll just trim it down and leave the Merry Christmas like this. It could be trimmed just a little bit tighter. You don't have to have the dies at home to make this card. You could really make a simple version of it with just a greeting like we have here, just the Heartfelt Wishes stamp set. Sorry if that's loud on the microphone. A little too heavy-handed there. There we go. We're just going to glue that flat down. Then you can see what a difference it makes in the original card that has the die and this one, which is still pretty. Then I think I'm going to change where I have the little cord and show you that. And we'll add some little basic rhinestone jewels. Along with the silver cord. And I'm just going to go ahead and go. I usually do better for some reason when I tie my bows if I tie them upside down. Don't ask me why. I don't have a clue. But I do. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to go ahead, give myself a little more room there. And this cord is a little more slippery than some ribbons are, so I'm just going to go ahead and tie a knot before I tie the bow. And we'll see how this works out. And if you need to work with the tails a little bit, or the loops, just make sure and hold your knot tightly while you do it. We're going to grab our ribbon scissors and chop that off. And I think I want that over on the right-hand side. And you can just move it like that. Just curve your cardstock a little bit. Curve it up. And we'll move that over on that side. And then usually if I have a bow like that with a knot in it, I take a glue dot. And you can use your scissors or your take your pick tool, whatever you have handy, and put a little glue dot underneath the knot. Whoops, some of the glue dots are on the label this way instead of the other way, like they used to be. So we're just going to put that little dot right there, squish it up a little bit under that bow, and there we have it. All we need to do is add some rhinestones. We're going to put a big one there on that big one. Let's put a couple of big ones. That one looks like it needs a big one. Then we'll take a smaller one for right here. Isn't that pretty? That's a simple, simple card. You can make a lot of those quickly and make it to match. Just coordinate this ink color with whatever your background color is, and it could be really any color. So there's that technique and that card for tonight. I'll move these out of the way, and let me see what else I can show you before the hour's up. We'll see if we can get the black Memento ink, since that's kind of both-sided. I wanted to kind of show you the process of what I've done here. And if anybody has any comments, please make them, and I'll try to answer you if you've got a question. The Memento ink is what I used on this Wintry folder. This is the Pine Boughs one. And originally when I started with this, I was thinking that I wanted to do the embossing and then color with markers. I tried blends on this side and I tried markers, and I just didn't really I thought it looked more tropical than holiday-ish. And so, I mean, it's not a bad look, it just wasn't exactly what I was looking for. So then I tried white paper instead of the Pear Pizzazz, and I got some pretty areas in the deboss side, but it wasn't all filled in. So I spritzed it with some alcohol and then it just smeared. So of course I wasn't happy with that. Then I also tried a marker on the embossing folder, which did this. So it was really subtle. It gives you some texture, but it was more subtle than what I wanted. And I did discover that you don't want to use blends on here. The only thing that'll get the blends off is the 91% alcohol. That took it off, but it does not wash off at all. So be careful when you're doing these folders. Okay, so we'll get out one of these little kits and see what we can do here. And I already have this cut. I'm not sure if y'all have done one of these. I don't know if it's called a floating frame or what exactly it's called, but this is 6 3/4 and by 4 1/4. 4 1/4 by 6 3/4. and the score is at 1 1/4. Okay, we're going to use our bone folder to do that. Now we've got the other little piece of the black, and you can either cut this off of a full piece. Normally your cardstock is 11 by 4 1/4 if you're cutting it in half landscape. Or you can, if you're making multiples, you can just cut several of these from the 4 1/4 like this, if that makes sense. Instead of, you don't have to just waste this piece. You can use it for more of these. But what we'll do is simply glue the pattern paper, which this designer series paper is, the other side is gold. This is from the Pattern Party Pack that hostesses are eligible to get whenever you host a party. And you have at least, let's see what they, if that's 150, I believe it's just $150 to be a hostess. So it can be you, or you can host a party and your total orders can be that much. But you'll get, this is $18 and it's a $30 value. So you'll get, with say if you had a $180 order, you'll get 10% of that in free product. So that would be $18. So you could get this pack of paper. And it has 48 sheets of 12 by 12. So that is a ton of paper. It's a lot. And there are a lot of different colors and styles. And one side is black and white on all the pages, and the other is various colors that are a lot of fun. It's got pool party and just, let's see, while we're doing this, pool party, Poppy Parade, Petal Pink, Pale Papaya, Misty Moonlight, Green Apple Green, Flirty Flamingo, Crushed Curry. So lots of different choices on that. Okay, we're gonna just quickly glue these on. That goes on the top, this goes on the inside. And that glue gives us a little wiggle room there, the liquid glue. That's kind of why I like that. And let's put the glue on this piece of paper, since it's smaller. Anytime you're gluing one thing to another, put the glue on the smaller one. Just a hint. I've learned from experience, lots of experience over the years. We'll just get all that done. Okay, and we'll put that together shortly. I'll go ahead and move all this out of the way so we can do our inking up here. We'll move this too. Okay, let's get us that scratch piece of paper back again and use the Memento ink, which is also a dye-based ink, as are our regular colors. Let me get that ink. And hopefully it's still inked up really well. This is the Tuxedo Black Fade Resistant Dye ink. So you wouldn't want to try this with stays on. It would stay on your folder. You would not want to do that with the stays on. So, but the Memento works just fine. And you can see that this is inking up the branches on this side. And I would rub, I would tap, I would do just about any way you can get the ink on there. And then we're going to rub on the other side, which this is going to be the reverse. So I'm actually inking up the space between the branches on this side. Really trying to get a lot of ink out of here, out of the pad and onto the folder. Have y'all ever done this? Janice or Cindy or Sherry? Anybody? Have y'all done this technique before? where you inked it up like this with the Memento or the one of our regular ink colors. Just curious to know that. Okay, I'm gonna put, or if this is something new to y'all too. Okay, we're gonna use our little blender brush again, blending brush. So we get in all the little crevices. Make sure everything's covered really well. And I don't think it's as necessary on this side, but you can certainly do it. We'll just do both sides and see what happens. And then the blending brushes, you can wash these out and clean them, or you can just kind of get one for your blacks and grays, one for your blues, one for your reds, kind of color families. And they come in sets of 5. I think that's going to need a little bit more to really get a deep impression. We're going to use a little bit more on there. Probably should have re-inked it first. But I think this will do us. See if I can get some of this off my fingers before I get it everywhere. No, Dennis, you hadn't tried it? I know some people really can't handle a mess, so if you're that kind of person, then this is probably not for you. But I don't mind getting a little messy if it's not permanent and it gets the results I want. I think that's cool. Okay, now we'll get our little piece of white paper that we're putting in here. This is just a basic white. I'm just going to put that in the center right there. Boom. Close that up. Get our little Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine out again. And all we need is the plate number 1, the texture embossing folder with the paper, and plate number 4. And I'll just crank it through. Oh my gosh, I did the white paper. Oh my heavens. That looks cool too, doesn't it? Black and white. But you can see the difference in that. But I was supposed to do it on the green paper. Y'all didn't say, Kelly, you're supposed to do that on the green. Oh my goodness. Isn't that funny? But there you have the idea. That's how you do that part. And we'd have to do it again. I don't know if y'all are still in for doing that or not, or I'll just explain how that worked. Let me get another wet wipe. Well, we might as well just go ahead, since we've got this much ink on the folder, might as well do it again on the green like we're supposed to. Heavens, I'm having an off night tonight. I ran to the grocery store. My husband has kind of a head cold and wanted some pad thai or something from the noodle bar at United on 114th and Slide. So I ran to the store and I kind of got discombobulated. By the time I got back, I just didn't have everything together that I thought I did, I guess. Let's just not use the blender brush this time and see how that works, see what happens. Since we've already got so much ink on here. Anyway, one more time. It's a good thing y'all have probably watched before. I think you'll all have. Oh my goodness. You too could become a demonstrator. This just proves it right here. Even though you've been doing something for 15 years doesn't mean you won't make a mistake now and then. And all you do is just move on and learn from it, right? Don't we all do that? Now it's on the green. And you can see how it did both sides. Isn't that amazing? I just never thought of that, but I could not decide. Originally on my card, I couldn't decide which side I liked better. So that's when I totally changed my card design to make it work where we could see both sides. Now, I'll clean this up really quickly. And yep, that's going to have to go under the sink to get any better than that. Whoa, look at all that ink. We had it soaked. Okay, I'll get after that shortly. As soon as we get off the air. See if I can keep from getting this all over me now. Okay, so wear something yucky that it doesn't matter if you get stuff on it if you're going to try this technique. Certainly with a dark color like the Memento. Let's get that cleaned up a little bit. All right. Now, if you're trying to figure out how I did this, if you've never done the floating front, I think it's called maybe, where you've got, do y'all know how to do this? Have you done that before? It really looks more difficult than it is. All you do is simply place this down, line it up at the bottom. So you're taking this piece up and lining it up with the bottom of this, okay? Just like it would be if that were the edge of the full card front. You're lining it up right at the edge right there. Then we're going to take this piece and put glue just on the top and the bottom. Not very wide strip there. Lay this down. Kind of get the spacing pretty even. Glue that just like that. Hold on a second or two. Give it a little bit of time. We'll get this up the right way here. And presto, voila, there you have it. That's all there is to it. Isn't that cool? That's just an easy way to do it. All right, and then all we did, I just wrapped the ribbon around. I don't know if I've got ribbon cut, but you can imagine that. We'll just wrap the ribbon around there, tie a bow, and then I have cut the trees, die cut the trees out from the Whimsy and Wonder die set. It's actually the Whimsy and Wonder suite that is in the mini catalog. And I was going to show you that, but I've shown that to you on several different videos. So you can just take my word for it. Whimsy and Wonder. And that's just the die, the Christmas tree die. It has two of these skinny little trees, that one's with a longer stalk and a little bit smaller, and this one's a shorter, stockier tree. And just stuck that on there. And then in order to make the joy kind of shiny, I actually embossed that with black embossing powder. And then I embossed this piece. I used Versamark on the black piece that's just like this cardstock. I thought it needed to be shiny too. And Stampin' Up used to have some foil, black foil paper that would be gorgeous to use on this if you have any of that still left. Or if you want to do it like I did, I just put the whole piece in, I Versamarked the whole thing with a Versamark ink pad that's a watermark pad. And then I used black embossing powder. You could also use clear, it wouldn't matter. You could use clear or black, either one. and that makes that circle shiny. See if y'all can tell that. And this is just the black glimmer paper. And then I just stamped this, that may this special season be wrapped in love and joy. That is from the Plaid Tidings set, I believe, from last year. It was in the catalog last year. But that's a simple little card. You do have some die cutting. This is a messy technique, as I said, but if you were doing quite a few of them and did it assembly line wise, where you did all of that and then cleaned up your mess and then went and assembled the rest of the cards, it wouldn't be bad to do at all. So there's that one. So that's 2 of the 3 that I wanted to show you, and I think we're already out of time here in this hour. Does anybody have any questions about how that worked or anything? Are y'all going to try it? Would y'all try this technique at home? We'll see. Sherry, are you still there? It shows Janice is still there, hopefully. Not sure. Okay. I'm going to turn the camera back up again and be right back with you. Okie dokie. Thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate you being part of the Create with Kelley crew. And tell your friends and to watch and subscribe. I'm hopefully going to be working a lot more on my blog too and being able to do some PDF tutorials of these. If one of the cards I showed you tonight you'd like a PDF tutorial of, why don't you just email me or put that in the comments and let me know which one you would want me to do first, to let you know what the sizes are or anything if you're curious about that. But mostly I just wanted to show you the technique this evening. Also, I'm trying to figure out if I should move these Facebook Lives maybe to the lunch hour sometime instead of doing them in the evening. I'm thinking this might be interrupting people's dinner hours doing it right now. So just kind of would love y'all's opinion for those who are watching. Let me know. I'll hold up the cards and we'll let you go. I haven't seen any more comments or any questions from anybody. We do have the retiring list from the catalog, the mini catalog that is out for the holidays, that is July through December catalog, that will be retiring. And the items that are in there that are on the retiring list are going to be while supplies last. And also, as of December 1st, Stampin' Up! Has changed the policy on back orders, so that we used to be able to order something and then it would just pop up on, if you were doing a customer order, it would pop up and say that it was back ordered. So you can choose whether or not to leave that in your cart. But now, right now, with the supply chain issues that are going on globally, not just with Stampin' Up, but with everyone, it seems, they have changed the policy so that is no longer going to be an option. If the item is not in stock where they can ship it, you won't be able to order it until it's back in stock. And that way you won't be so disappointed and waiting for a long time to get it. So hopefully it'll turn out to be better. It'll probably be a little frustrating at first if you're used to doing that, but they felt like that was going to be a better option. And so we want to make sure and take care of the demonstrators and customers we have. And if you have any questions, like I said, about that or anything Stampin' Up, I'm happy to help you anytime. And hope you'll tune in again and watch some or come to some of my in-person classes if you're from the Lubbock area, or watch for some online ones coming up. I hope to be doing some of those soon. There's just a lot going on. It's great. Okay, I'm going to hold up my other card again if I can find it. Thanks for tuning in tonight to see these cards. And I've already lost my Misty Moonlight card. We'll just hold this one up. And you have a wonderful evening, and thanks again for tuning in. Have a great one. Fun times ahead. Bye-bye.